Part 85. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 841. Chapter 841 is so arrogant. Li Lei flashed and called out, Xiao Ling. The girl's hand that was stretched out in the air suddenly froze. She turned around and saw Xiao Ling standing a few steps away. Her clothes were fluttering under the light, her face was quiet, and there was no emotion. That girl's scalp was about to explode. She was caught hooking up with Big Boss Li for the first time. What should she do? She was a little flustered and whispered, Miss Ling. Xiao Ling looked at them with a half smile but not a smile. What are you doing? Li Lei quickly said, it was a misunderstanding. It's okay. Let's go. With that said, he stepped forward and took Xiao Ling's hand, wanting to leave the place of right and wrong. I heard that it's terrible for women to be jealous, especially women with bad tempers like Xiao Ling. He was afraid that if he delayed for a while longer, both himself and the strange girl would be dead. However, it was too late. Xiao Ling stood still and said, how could you just leave like that? Under the dim street light, she looked at the girl, and suddenly chuckled, it's so late at night, what you wear is really cool in the late autumn. The girl was wearing a halter top and a blouse with a collar. It was also opened low, and the plump seemed to jump out of the thin top, which was extremely tempting. However, the outfit that the girl was originally proud of now made her feel even more embarrassed. She couldn't help but take a step back, lowered her head, and said evasively, I just came out of the dance studio. I just finished dancing and haven't had time to change clothes. Xiao Ling walked slowly and circled around her. It's true that times have changed. I remember when I was practicing dance in the training camp, I always wore the simplest practice clothes, without any lace or lace decorations. There's nothing wrong with it, because only the simplest clothes can accurately detect a person's body movements and are most conducive to practice and correction. Why do all the trainees nowadays wear such fancy clothes? The girl had cold sweat on her forehead under her questioning. Where are the current trainees wearing fancy clothes? When they practice dancing now, they are also wearing regular plain-colored practice uniforms. The reason why she dressed like this was just to meet the big boss. She finally found out the whereabouts of Big Boss Li, and hurriedly put on her most dress and rushed over. She calculated the angle and ran into the boss's arms. She is confident. She is younger than Ye Xingling, her are bigger than Ye Xingling's, and her figure and beauty are both top-notch. What reason is there for the boss not to like her? There are rumors in the training camp that Ye Xingling is where she is today because of the support of the big boss. There are so many things in the entertainment industry where a man rises to the top. Why was it that Ye Xingling could do it but she couldn't? The waves behind the Yangtze River push the waves ahead. Ye Xingling has dominated the boss for too long. Men are always fond of the new and dislike the old. The girl made up her mind to capture the heart of the big boss tonight. However, he didn't expect that Xiao Ling would come out before the attack was successful. She secretly said something bad, but she didn't dare to offend Xiao Ling. This woman's aura was so strong. She was obviously angry now, and there was a faint murderous intention coming towards her, which made her heart beat. Xiao Ling said softly, I asked you something, why didn't you answer it? The girl was sweating coldly. She didn't know if she was frightened or something, but she looked at Li Lei for help. Classmate Li Xiaoli, I was also frightened. Sister, if you want to die, don't hold me back. I don't know you at all, okay? He was eager to clear his suspicions and said bravely, Xiao Ling, you are right, wearing basic training clothes is the most suitable for trainees. Let's do this. I asked Tan Ying to set a rule. In the future, in the training camp, he can only wear uniforms and school uniforms. Originally, places like Tianyi training camp were designed to cultivate future big stars, and their requirements were different from those of ordinary schools. In order to develop the trainee's personality, dressing taste, and aesthetics, the training camp never stipulates what they must wear or what they cannot wear. The whole training camp is full of handsome men and beauties competing for beauty. Put others down in terms of manners. Under this situation, if the camp really announced that everyone can only wear school uniforms, it would definitely be a disaster. But Xiaoling thought the idea was a good one, and said with a smile, "Okay, let's do it like this." It seemed that classmate Li Xiaoli had been trained by her to become more and more aware of current affairs. Knowing that she was unhappy, she directly killed the little boy in front of her from the source. There is a possibility that the goblin will continue to be coquettish in the future. The girl lowered her head and did not dare to speak. Now that she was caught seducing the boss, compared to her crime, whether everyone in the training camp can wear beautiful clothes in the future is not her current consideration at all. She even secretly prayed that it would be great if Xiaoling could let her go gently by making this rule. It's a pity that heaven does not fulfill people's wishes. Xiaoling rarely shows mercy to those who offend her. At this time, she still looked at her with a smile. The rules are good, but they also need someone to enforce them. I think you have a good bone structure, so you are a good candidate. From today on, he is the general committee member of the training camp, who is responsible for supervising the dressing issues. You will inform everyone about the new regulations on school uniforms soon. By the way, do we have school uniforms? The last sentence, she asked Big Boss Li. How did she remember that there were no school uniforms at the training camp? Li Lei was also confused. I don't know, he was busy with everything, so how could he pay attention to such a small thing? They both looked at the girl. The girl was on the verge of tears and was struggling. Boss, Miss Aya, we don't have school uniforms. Please don't let me be the disciplinary committee member. I know I'm wrong, woo woo woo. They were both women, and as soon as Xiaoling asked her to be the disciplinary committee member, she felt deep malice. Notifying and supervising everyone's dressing issues is definitely a job that attracts hatred. It is thankless, and even being ostracized is foreseeable. She was sure that Xiaoling did it on purpose. Deliberately revenge on her. Xiaoling said, "This is because the organization respects you. Why are you panicking? It turns out that we don't have school uniforms, so just go and count everyone's measurements, and then report it to the school and let the school make uniforms. Don't worry, everyone will not be dissatisfied. Yours, I will ask the school to issue a letter of appointment for the disciplinary committee to inform the world. Miss Aya, please. Do your best, I'm optimistic about you." Xiaoling smiled and patted her shoulder, holding Li Lei's hand and walking away. The girl was left standing there resentful, frightened, and at a loss. Li Lei has finally seen Xiaoling's ability to cause trouble. How long has it been since he returned to the training camp? The whole camp was in a state of chaos. He couldn't help but think of the reports about her in her previous life. The gossip said that many of the emperor's trainees and celebrities said that she was domineering and so arrogant that people wanted to beat her to death. He believes it now. In the future, will Tianyi be tortured like that? Classmate Li Xiaoli looked at the sky silently. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 842. Chapter 842 Li Yulai's Persuasion. A certain big boss completely forgot that he was also an accomplice. Xiaoling took him to a secluded place and settled the score with him. What's the matter with you? When someone jumps at you, you reach out to catch her. It's very comfortable to hold, right? Why don't you let her fall? Forget it. Master Boss said weakly. What are you? Why are you wandering around outside in such fashionable clothes in the middle of the night? You know you are attracting bees and butterflies, so you won't stay in the house and wait for me. Classmate Xia Xiaoling pulled him the sweatshirt. The thin material outlines the faint outline of the chest muscles, the proportion of the inverted triangle, the mermaid line on the waist and abdomen. She became even more angry. If you are handsome, don't go out and cause trouble. Master boss, He was wronged, okay. He swore on his conscience that the clothes he was wearing were definitely the most conservative among conservative styles. It's just that he has such a good figure, whatever he wears makes people look sinful, woo woo woo. A certain boss looks like a large pet. It looks at its owner with an aggrieved look on its face, barely wagging its tail. Xiaoling looked at his cute little eyes and her anger subsided a little, but she still said fiercely, "You are not allowed to go out without me accompanying you from now on. Do you know, Lan Yan is in trouble. This person is definitely a troublemaker." Mr. Boss nodded with great knowledge of current affairs. He came to rub Queen Xiaoling's body again. "I know I was wrong, let's go home, okay?" The late autumn night breeze was a bit cool, blowing through their clothes and hair, bringing with it a hint of her faint perfume, which was refreshing. Master Boss secretly took a breath, feeling a little sweet in his heart. Although Xiaoling is very angry now, he is very happy, because Xiaoling is jealous because of him. How much should she care about him? Li Lei lowered his head and kissed the top of her hair. His voice was very touching. "I'll make delicious food for you when you get home." Xiaoling was coaxed to feel comfortable, so she held his hand and walked to the parking lot. "It's time to go home. I have an announcement tomorrow. I want to eat bird's nest with rock sugar and white fungus and pear soup." "Okay, everything is fine." Mr. Boss was very happy. The figures of the two leaning against each other gradually disappeared into the night. The next day, the appointment announcement for the training camp came out and was posted on the campus LAN. The girl who seduced Li Lei last night, Hua Meyer, was appointed as the disciplinary committee member, responsible for supervising the dress code of the trainees. As soon as the appointment was announced, it caused an uproar. Why did the school, which was so well behaved, start to pretend to be fake? A good person carefully read the full text of the announcement and found that it contained the whole story of the incident. The general idea was that Hua Meyer accidentally ran into the arms of Boss Li last night, and Boss Li thought she was too dressed. It was rare for her to be immoral, and upon questioning she found out that she was dressed like this for dance practice. However, considering that dressing like this is actually not conducive to the training of basic dance skills, the school will require uniform attire from now on. Where there are people, there is gossip. What's more, it is a training camp where young people gather and are full of hormones. What happens is related to the vital interests of everyone. Soon, someone revealed Hua Meyer's background. She came from a mediocre family. She went to a social network outside school in order to buy a brand name bag. However, she was deceived. Instead of getting the brand name bag, she spent money to make money. Abortion surgery. Not long after he had settled down, he ran into the big boss. No one is a fool. So everyone understood that Hua Meyer wanted to get close to the big boss, but ended up annoying the boss, which led to her current ending. This appointment letter was not so much about helping her take office as it was about posting her online on campus as a warning to everyone, so that everyone should not make ideas that they shouldn't have in the future. It's so pitiful. During the lunch break, someone saw Hua Meyer walking from dormitory to dormitory with a pen and a notebook to calculate the size data of school uniforms. She received so many cynicisms along the way that she couldn't help but say something. She sighed. Who told her to offend the big boss and the male that she can easily provoke? Now it's okay. She's so tired that she doesn't have beautiful clothes to wear in the entire training camp. It's strange that everyone doesn't hate her. Another trainee sneered, she doesn't even hold a mirror to look at herself. She smells like dust all over her body, yet she has the nerve to seduce the boss. Does the boss really have such bad taste? That's right, boss already has seen Ling, how can she compare with Miss Ling? A stream of gossip reached Hua Meyer's ears. Hua Meyer's face turned pale with anger, but she couldn't even argue. I can only endure it and register my school uniform size. From now on, her reputation is considered to be bad. When she first walked into the dormitory, even the dormitory aunt gave her a look of disdain, which made her feel like needles pricking her heart. As early as today, she regrets that she shouldn't have provoked people she couldn't afford to offend. There is another person who also regrets it. She is Yezingfei. Yezingfei regretted why she went to bed so early yesterday and did not practice more before the monthly exam. She passed the monthly singing test today, and she, who had always been in the top 10, actually dropped to 11th place. The reason was that a classmate named Wang Shuang, who was at a middle or lower level, silently surpassed her and ranked 10th, knocking her out of the top 10. Coincidence? It must be a coincidence. Yezingfei held back her energy and vowed to herself that she would win the exam next month. After class, when she walked out of the classroom, she saw several girls surrounding Wang Shuang. Shuang, congratulations to you. We were all shocked when we saw you got 10th place in the exam. Last month you were still in the 20th place. Right? These girls have a good relationship with Wang Shuang, and they remember the rankings of their friends very clearly. A faint smile appeared on Shuang's face, and he said a little shyly, thanks to Miss Ling this time, she gave me private tutoring yesterday. I found the state immediately and practiced all night, so I can perform so well today. The girls all had envious expressions on their faces, chirping, wow, so awesome. Miss Aya is truly a queen. She can make such great progress with just a few casual instructions. I'm so envious. I heard that Miss Aya will come to give lectures in the future. Don't talk about her talking about ideology and moral character next time. Even when she talks about the earth being flat, I have to listen carefully. I fought hard for the place to be a private tutor. I also want to listen carefully and let's fight together. Several girls clenched their fists with high spirits. Yezingfei on the side looked very ugly after hearing this. It turned out that Wang Shuang surpassed himself only after accepting Xiaoling's guidance. Why is it Xiaoling who I hate the most? She was lost in thought when she heard her companion Li Yulai say, Fei, it seems that Miss Ling's individual tutoring is very useful. You are her sister, yes, I'm sorry, I mean, even if Miss Ling has left the Ye family, but we are still related by blood, why don't you take advantage of this and let her help you? In that case, your level will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. The next chapter will be around 12 o'clock. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 843. Chapter 843, Virtue and Art. Humph, do I still need her for my rapid progress? Yezingfei was very angry and said angrily, she was not as good as me from the beginning. When I first entered the training camp, I was the one who got high marks. The school reluctantly accepted it because of my face. It's her fault. How can I ask for a woman who is not as good as me? Li Yulai disagreed, Fei, don't you know the difference between this and the other? Even if your admission score was higher than Miss Ling's, she is the one who has become the queen now. You should stop talking about your admission score in the future. Do you know I know many students are saying. Li Yulai suddenly stopped talking in the middle of her words. Do I know anything? Yezingfei asked unhappily. Li Yulai hesitated and stopped talking. Say it, Yezingfei urged her. Li Yulai, do you still think of me as a friend? Li Yulai could only say, Fei, many classmates are saying that Miss Ling's talent is really amazing. Her admission score was lower than yours. It must be, the examiner must be blind. What? Yezingfei was angry and shocked. How could they say that? They themselves are blind. They didn't even look at who the examiner who recruited us was. It was Tan Ying. Mr. Tan. How could Mr. Tan be so blind? Blind. Fifei, don't be like this. Li Yulai hurriedly comforted the emotional Yezingfei. Suddenly, I heard a chuckle coming from the side. Haha, I was indeed blind at the beginning. The condescending and slightly sarcastic male voice made the two girls turn their heads, and they saw Tan Ying standing behind them at some point, holding a large stack of lesson plans in his hand. Excuse me, he said to the two girls. Yezingfei and Li Yulai blankly made way for them. Mr. Tan, just as Tan Ying took a few steps and was about to leave, Yezingfei stopped him. You said, you were the one who was blind at the beginning. She looked at him in disbelief. Yes, Tan Ying admitted easily, without feeling any embarrassment at all. I rarely miss that girl Yexinling. The biggest mistake in my life is probably that I almost sold her to the emperor. Emperor, he said, thought for a while, and smiled at Yezingfei. If I really have to choose, 100 of you are not worth one of Yezingling's fingers. Yezingfei's eyes opened even wider, and she stumbled back in shock. Impossible, how is it possible? Mr. Tan actually said that even 100 of her fingers could not compare to Yezingling's. Is she really that trash? No. She is not willing to give in. Fifei. Li Yulai looked at her worriedly. Are you okay? Don't take Mr. Tan's words to heart. Maybe he is in a bad mood today? You are actually very good, you. Yexinling Yezingfei read out these 3 words through gritted teeth. Li Yulai was frightened by her terrifying expression. Just listen to Yezingfei say, I must surpass Yexinling and prove to the world that I am the best. If Xiaoyu were here, he would definitely advise her not to do stupid things. She thought that Xiaoyu went astray in order to surpass her dazzling sister, and risked most of her life to chase her sister's shadow. Only then did she realize that it was so out of reach and despairing. It's a pity that Xiaoyu is not here. Little girls like Yezingfei, who are new to the world, always think that nothing is insurmountable as long as they rely on their own efforts. She clenched her fists and determined that one day she would trample her sister under her feet. Fight it, she said loudly. At the other end of the corridor, Tan Ying was walking away with a smile on her lips. Not long ago, Li Lei asked him to give Yezingfei a little stimulation so that she could face the reality that she was not as good as her sister, without any disrespectful thoughts. Now, although Yezingfei still hates Xiaoling, she can understand that the gap between her and her sister is as big as clouds and mud. It's good. Only when you see the gap clearly can you know how to work hard. Tan Ying doesn't want to raise Yezingfei, who is quite talented, into a useless person. Let this little girl work hard. Once she has a good future and stands closer to her sister, she may understand her difficulty and last resort. There was a lot of commotion here, and Xiaoling had been catching up on announcements all day long. At the end of the day, she dragged her tired body to remove her makeup in the restroom. Assistant Wai Wei walked in and reported to her some new things that happened today. I called from the Huayu Financial Building and asked you to consider the ribbon-cutting ceremony again. They very much hope that you can attend. Lu Jizu from Entertainment People Weekly called you to ask if you are free for an interview recently. Nebula TV has formulated a banquet list for the year-end ceremony and asked if you would like to sit at the same table with Mr. Zheng Qinhao of the Emperor. One item after another, Wai Wei's clever eloquence explained clearly. Xiaoling was taking off her makeup and listening, trying to give some advice. The long list of things on the list was quickly explained. By the way, Xiaoling took off her earrings in front of the mirror and asked, how is the situation at the Tianyi training camp? She had to deal with a lot of things there yesterday. Wai Wei couldn't help laughing. There is a news report. It said that you returned to the training camp yesterday as an alumnus to teach, focusing on the issue of artistic ethics, and also standardized the training camp's clothing, school ethos, and disciplines. This news is very popular among middle-aged people, mothers like her, and they are all worried that their children will learn bad things if they chase stars. Now many people say that if their children must chase stars, they should chase Ms. Yassin Ling, who is both talented and talented. Xiaoling. Both virtue and art, what the hell? However, she was surprised to be liked by middle-aged mothers. For actresses, middle-aged women are the most difficult market group to impress. This group always looks at everything about actresses with a critical eye. Even wearing a backless dress when walking on the red carpet can make a difference. I have been criticized by mothers for a long time. Xiaoling's popularity among this group has never been high, but now she has done something unintentional, and the results are good. Wai Wei put down the notepad in her hand, came over to help her remove the crystal hair ornaments on her head, and said with a smile, "Sister Xiaoling, the national goddess wants to kill all men, women, old and young. You used to be among the young people. Your popularity has exploded, and now you are loved by so many mothers. Looking at the entire entertainment industry, no one is more national than you." Xiaoling was not interested. "Is there any other news?" Wai Wei said, "No more." Xiaoling asked, "What happened to the discipline committee member I appointed at the training camp yesterday?" Wai Wei was stunned. What kind of disciplinary committee? She had no idea that this was happening. It was just a trivial matter. However, as long as Xiaoling asked, she had to check it. Soon, she got the result and came back to tell Xiaoling that discipline committee member named Hua Meyer was bullied miserably by her classmates. Everyone blamed her. It's time to provoke the fierce boss, so that everyone has no beautiful clothes to wear. Is it her fault that she shouldn't provoke Li Lei? Xiaoling was also stunned for a moment. Isn't it her fault that she shouldn't provoke me? Wai Wei checked the information in more detail and said, "Boss Li protected you very well and never mentioned a word about you from the beginning to the end. Those students were complaining that boss was too strict and didn't complain about you." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 844. Chapter 844. You forgot one thing. Xiaoling paused slightly while arranging her long hair, then let out a soft hum. It was undeniable that Li Lei loved her very much, but she didn't expect that he would consider even such inconspicuous details for her. Uniforming school uniforms is a very hateful thing, and the students in the entire training camp may be disgusted with her. Although she doesn't care, but he does. A slight smile appeared on her lips, and she stood up. "Let's go find Li Lei." Li Lei is holding an overseas conference call in the office on the top floor of Tianyi. Now that he is in charge of the entire family, he is much busier than before. Except for the time spent with Xiaoling, all the remaining time is soaked in endless negotiations, meetings, and in all kinds of decisions. He was thinner than before, and his brows also had a hint of murderous intent. However, when he raised his head and saw Xiaoling pushing open the door and coming in, his originally stern expression softened instantly, and he revealed a big warm smile. "Xiaoling, you're here." Pressing the red button on the phone, he said, "Today's meeting will end here and we will continue tomorrow." He stood up and gave Xiaoling a hug. Xiaoling raised her face to look at him and reached out to touch his angular cheek. "Have you been busy lately?" "It's not bad." Li Lei smiled, took her hand and put it to his lips and kissed her. "What do you want for dinner?" She shook her head. "Did you forget something?" "Huh?" He was a little confused. Xiaoling poked his face angrily. "Well, it was hard and not as soft as Xiao Hui's." She poked it again before saying, "Forgot." "Forget it? Turn around and walk out." Li Lei hugged her from behind and coaxed her softly. "What happened? I was wrong and I shouldn't forget it. Can you tell me quickly?" Xiaoling blushed and her body felt a little weak due to his breath. She struggled for a while, but before she could break away, she snorted a little arrogantly and said, "I won't tell you. Just think about it for me." If you can't think of anything, I'll. Just what? He asked inarticulately. Xiaoling was paralyzed in his arms and could not even stand. He smiled lowly and said, "What did I forget? Come on, tell me." I, I won't say." Her voice was unsteady and she was having a bad temper. He smiled evilly, picked her up and threw her onto the leather couch by the floor-to-ceiling window. Admire her carefully through the dim light of the classical desk lamp. She is really beautiful, with delicate and picturesque eyebrows. Her originally white cheeks were covered with a light blush due to the struggle just now, and paired with light cherry petal-like lips, she is so charming. Faintly, I remembered the comments from the outside world that she was not good-looking. How could those people understand her beauty? It is not stunning at first sight, but it can make people look at it endlessly over the years. Every inch of the skin is exquisite and flawless, just like a porcelain doll stepping out of a painting. Xiaoling, he whispered in a hoarse voice. Xiaoling blinked her eyes gently, her long, thin and soft eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings. Her body was soft and her voice was soft. "You, let me go, I hate you." He laughed and said, "Then tell me, what did I forget?" Humph, she looked away. A certain big boss leaned over, and the spring night was beautiful. Lilei looked at her. "Can you tell me now?" Her brain was a little slow, and it took her a long time to think about what he was saying. She couldn't help but stare at him with mist. "You hate it? You bastard." "I won't tell you." Lilei smiled and said, "You still haven't confessed." I said." She said aggrievedly, "Don't mess around. I just want to ask you. The big matchmakers have already done it. Why don't you come to my house to propose marriage? It's easy for her. She, even when it comes to proposing marriage, she has to take the initiative to ask. These days, she has been waiting for him to propose marriage, but there has been no movement since the matchmaker Wei Lingnan returned. What are the next steps? Why does he act like nothing is wrong? Did he stop mentioning it if she didn't ask? She is the rich lady, the rich lady. Doesn't he know how to be more considerate and proactive? Lilei was stunned for a moment, and then he realized what she was struggling with. He couldn't help but laugh, and teased her, "Well, I forgot about this. The 3 books and 6 etiquettes are so troublesome, I think I'd better not mention it." "You dare to let me go?" She suddenly became anxious and forgot about the pain all over her body. She turned over and sat up and pressed him down. "No. You can't just admit it. You have to be responsible for me. Do you hear me?" Under the soft lamplight, her eyes were sparkling, and her crow-green hair was spread over her snow-white and delicate skin, which looked extremely beautiful. Lilei let her ride on his waist, admiring her angry look without moving, with a smile on his lips. Xiaoling then realized that something was wrong. She hurriedly tried to get off of him, not forgetting to curse, "You stinking scoundrel." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 845. Chapter 845 Haute Couture Dress. Lilei pulled her gently with one hand, and she fell back on him. She tried to get up tenaciously, and he held her waist with his other hand. "Don't move." A low, magnetic voice, very gentle. As if possessed, she stopped struggling unknowingly and looked at him stupidly. His eyes are so beautiful, with a deep and blurry ink color, like a bottomless pool. The bridge of his nose is also very high, with thin lips, like the most perfect sculpture in the world. She was so distracted by what she saw that she forgot all about the marriage proposal. He smiled and kissed her again. This silly little girl was so lovable, how could he let go of her? In a low voice, he said, "The candidates for the marriage proposal and the gifts have been prepared for a long time, and we are just waiting for the auspicious day. When Wei Lingnan came back last time, he also gave me the date calculated by your brother." "Why, My brother didn't tell you. Xiaoling was stunned for a moment. No. Li Lei said, I thought he told you. So, classmate Xiaoling realized that they all knew the date a long time ago, but they all thought that the other party had already told her. The result is that she has been kept in the dark until now, and has been anxious for a long time. Bunch of bastards, she concluded through gritted teeth. Li Lei smiled again. However, I am still very happy that you can be so nervous about me. Since you are so eager to become my Li family, I will tell you, Grandpa has already set off from the headquarters with gifts. It is expected that in 3 when the Queen arrives at the Xia family, you will have time to return to the family the day after tomorrow. To propose marriage, the elders of both parties and the male and female parties involved must be present. She will wait for the arrival of him and his family in the family to complete the marriage proposal. When Li Lei said this, she exclaimed, the day after tomorrow. What's wrong, is there a problem? I have an announcement the day after tomorrow, she cried sadly, I knew you were all big bastards. You didn't even tell me such an important thing. The day after tomorrow is the Nebula Awards ceremony. It will be broadcast live. Classmate Li Xiaoli was also stunned. He has been busy dealing with overseas affairs recently, and has not paid much attention to the domestic entertainment industry. He actually forgot about such an important annual ceremony. The Nebula Festival is the most authoritative music event in China. Xiaoling has won the Best Female Singer for 3 consecutive years. Now it is the 4th time. If nothing happens, she will still be the winner. She cannot be absent. What should I do, what should I do? Xiaoling pointed at her fingertips and muttered, I've even prepared the evening dress to receive the award. It's very beautiful. It's the latest high-end fashion of the season. If you don't wear it, it will be out of date. Li Lei. So, dear, you are actually just worried about the dress, right? Xiaoling was unhappy and couldn't help but reach out to poke him beside her. What do you think we should do? Li Lei thought for a moment. Well, you go to the Nebula Festival every year anyway. It's not a big deal if you miss it once in a while. Otherwise, don't go this year and go home and wait for me to propose marriage. Xiaoling was still unhappy. You can't wear a couture dress when proposing a marriage, to put it bluntly. When proposing a marriage, the groom's parents come to visit the girl's parents. It's a very ordinary small banquet. Not to mention couture dresses, you don't even need a more formal dress. Whatever, you can deal with it by wearing any home clothes. Classmate Li Xiaoli was silent again. Sure enough, for women, men are not as important as clothes. Xiaoling poked his chest again and again. It's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. Li Lei was in pain, but he didn't dare to reason with her. Reasoning with women? And is he trying to reason with a woman who is deeply obsessed with clothes? He's tired of living, isn't he? If it doesn't work out, I'll reschedule the marriage proposal, he made up his mind and said without hesitation. Xiaoling's eyes lit up and she looked at him expectantly. Is this okay? What's not allowed? Leave it to me, Li Lei said proudly. It's a marriage proposal between the two of us. Of course it's up to us to decide when to set it. Xiaoling became happy and touched his head. I knew you were the best. Classmate Li Xiaoli smiled brightly, but his heart was bleeding. Woo-hoo-hoo, it turns out that my status in Xiaoling's heart is indeed not as good as a piece of clothing. But he didn't know, why did Xiaoling do it for a piece of clothing? This year's Nebula Festival is Luoluo's first time competing for the Best Golden Melody Award, and she wants to support her good friends. Nowadays, the relationship between Luoluo and Bai Murong is heating up, but one thing has been bothering her. A few days ago, she came to Xiaoling and said, Xiaoling, do you think I am terrible? Murong is so powerful, is it? The king is so popular, but what about me? I haven't become famous after so many years. Many people say that I am not worthy of him. At that time, Luoluo's expression was a rare one of depression. Xiaoling asked her softly, "You and Bai Murong have been dating for a long time. There have been rumors. Why have they suddenly become so violent recently?" Some of Bai Murong's fans didn't like Luoluo from the beginning and felt that she was not qualified. They are shallow and small, not worthy of their superstar. These gossips have never stopped, but they are not considered mainstream voices. It's just that for some reason recently, the anti-Luoluo sentiment among Bai Murong fans has suddenly increased. Luoluo then told her, in Murong's support group, there was a very powerful leader who disappeared for many years and suddenly reappeared recently. She said bad things about me everywhere in the fan gathering place, woo woo woo. Xiaoling asked, "What's her name?" Luoluo shook his head, "I don't know, my online ID is Murong Phi Fei. Murong Phi Fei." Xiaoling suddenly understood whose ID this was. It belonged to Yezing Phi. Many young people, before Yezing Phi had a car accident, had actively participated in all Bai Murong's fan support activities, and had long since become the leader of a large group with great appeal. Now she wakes up from a deep sleep. This is, have you re-engaged in support activities? This sister is really worried. Xiaoling was angry. It was because of her that her brother rescued Yezing Phi. Now that he woke up, would he deal with his good friend? It has been a difficult journey for Luoluo and Bai Murong. This girl has endured so much disdain and abuse. She should not be subjected to violence from fans anymore. "I will help you at this Xingyun song concert," she said to Luoluo. "When you win the Best Golden Melody Award, their scoldings will become quieter. Come on, shut up those who look down on you." As for the Best Female Singer Award, Luoluo is not yet strong enough to compete for it. Even if Xiaoling doesn't win, Xia Linlang and Xu Wanyi are not the most economical ones. But when it comes to the Best Golden Melody Award, Luoluo has released a quite lovable song this year. As long as he can gain popularity on the spot, he is still very hopeful to compete for votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 846. Chapter 846. Everyone is waiting. Luoluo nodded fiercely. She would fight for Murong. On the day of the nebula ceremony, Xiaoling sat in a white extended limousine and drove slowly to the venue. Lin Yunan stayed by her side and told the driver, "Drive slower." He turned to Xiaoling and said, "There are still many actresses who haven't entered the venue. Please wait a moment and have a grand finale like in previous years." Women. Over the years, the competition between celebrities on the red carpet is extremely fierce. In addition to competing for popularity and appearance, they also compete for the order of entry. Even if many actresses arrive early, they will deliberately wait near the entrance in order to be the last to enter and turn themselves into the finale. Speaking of which, the actress in the finale appears to be more famous and has more status. Xiaoling looked sideways and saw several luxury cars loitering nearby at a very fast speed. They were all obviously waiting to go to the red carpet later. She couldn't help but smile and said to Lin Yunan, "Whatever." When she was young, she was arrogant and cared a lot about pursuing fame and fortune. In any event where she attended, the final actress was never allowed to be someone else. At that time, she was extremely popular and was favored by Pei Xian. No one dared to challenge her and they all avoided her. Now that she is reborn, she has taken some things lightly. The finale is more like a natural status symbol for her, just like blue and white porcelain with cobalt blue, or a luxury bag that goes through thousands of processes. She is the top diva in the country, one of a kind. When she is there, all the female stars will bow to her. So, what if there is an actress walking behind her and it becomes the finale? No one would think that the actress status is higher than her because of this kind of thing. Xiaoling felt very relaxed and closed her eyes slightly to rest her mind. Lin Yunan was full of fighting spirit and called everyone one by one. "Hello, old Han? You and Louise get in the Lamborghini in front of us. Don't wait any longer. The finale this year is our Xiaoling. You might as well show up early, a quick fight. Oh, you little guy, you want to fight with us? Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha ha." He looked up to the sky and laughed 3 times. Before he could finish laughing, the car in front of him stepped on the accelerator and accelerated into the venue. Xiaoling is also speechless. Can this scare others away? Lin Yunan said proudly, "See, now you are the queen of the entertainment industry. Everyone flees when they hear your name." He enjoys this feeling, being bossy and majestic. Isn't this just because he doesn't care about the cost? Is it also the reason why we only work on the biggest and top artists? Lin Yunan hummed a little tune and called one after another. It is undeniable that Xiaoling's successful finale at the Nebula ceremony every year over the years has been indispensable to Lin's manager. He always has a way of fooling his competitors and defeating even ambitious actresses. A smile appeared on Xiaoling's lips. It was actually quite good to have such a partner. She closed her eyes for a while again, and heard Lin Yunan say, "It's done, all the actresses promised to leave first, and you will be the last one to appear." At this time, the car had already driven near the red carpet, and there were several other cars nearby. She was waiting as well. The red carpet show went on in an orderly manner, with stars stepping forward, stopping and taking photos one by one. One after another, big stars got out of the cars around her and stepped forward gracefully to walk onto the red carpet. Lin Yunan looked relaxed, counting the number of people, and humming a wild tune. Xiaoling only felt that her ears were being ravaged. This big manager's singing was as bad as that of a big boss in her family, but she always liked to hum. Seeing that everyone in the nearby car was naked, she couldn't wait to tell the driver, "Drive up." They are now parked in the waiting area. They have to drive to the front of the red carpet before a special doorman will open the car door for her. The reporters will also take photos one after another to capture the precious moment when she gets out of the luxury car and steps onto the red carpet. Moment. When the driver heard this, he started the engine. Suddenly, Lin Yunan shouted, "Wait." Xiaoling was startled. "What's wrong?" 46, 47, 48. "No, there are only 49 groups in total." Lin Yunan's expression was not very good. "I have counted, the guests attending this time should be 51 groups. Yes, that is to say, apart from you, there is one person who has not walked on the red carpet. If you go up now, you will be the second to last one, and you will get the advantage of others." Xiaoling was a little impatient as she waited, and said nonchalantly, it's cheap, and it's a piece of meat. Anyway, the press release will still have the largest space for her, and reporters and fans love to take pictures of her." Lin Yunan rolled his eyes at the sky. "You have been waiting for this, and this is the last one. I said, and, even if you don't care about the finale, you still have pity on me as an agent. I just made so many phone calls. It's both coercion and inducement. So many big stars have given up to us. If you didn't crush me at the last moment, do you know that I will be laughed at for a long time? I'll probably be laughed at for a whole year. Until next year's red carpet battle." Xiaoling thought about it seriously and said. "So," Lin Yunan slapped his thigh, "in order to prevent me from being laughed at, my aunt, you must be patient. Let me find out which kid is playing this trick with me, and he didn't show up so late." He really flipped through the information while on the phone again. Xiaoling leaned back in her chair boredly. Thank God, Lin Yunan, who was busy at least, stopped humming. "Yes, soon, he found out the clues," I said. "Who was so blind, it turned out to be Xiaoyu. Her agent just called the organizer, saying that she was late and asked the organizer to wait." "Tisk, why are you late?" I used this trick more than 10 years ago. I just wanted to be the last one on the red carpet. To compete for the red carpet finale, actresses come up with endless tricks, and it is not uncommon to be late. Xiaoling was shocked. It turned out to be Xiaoyu. She began to rejoice. Fortunately, she didn't impulsively ask the driver to drive the car out. She could give up the position of the finale to anyone, except Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu threw Xiao Hui into the trash can. Even if Xiao Hui didn't die, hatred had already been forged. It's one thing for her not to take the initiative to seek revenge, but it's another thing entirely for her to give up what she deserves to Xiaoyu. We'll wait, she decided immediately. Isn't it just later than anyone else? It doesn't matter, she can afford it. Time passed minute by minute. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Originally, the reporters saw the luxury cars of many actresses parked outside the venue. They saw that almost all the people in the luxury cars got out of the car, leaving only this white extended version of the limousine. They couldn't help but whisper to each other. Is it Miss Ye Xingling? It seems she is the only one who has not come down, a reporter said to his companions. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 847. Chapter 847, Walking the Red Carpet Like a Dance. Yeah, another reporter said, everyone has left, why can't they come down? There must be someone behind her, they are all in entertainment news and are well versed in red carpet battles. Xia Linlang and the others, several people have already entered the venue, so no one should be competing with Miss Aya for the finale. Who knows? How about we find someone to hurry us up? The reporters expressed their pain. They were standing outside in the cold weather, but the one who didn't come in was a top diva. They couldn't bear to close the stall. A reporter actually found Lin Yunan's phone number and dialed it. Agent Lin, all the stars are gone. Please invite Miss Ling out quickly. So many of us reporters are waiting for it. Lin Yunan glanced sideways at Xiaoling. The girl still had her eyes closed, probably asleep. He then calmly said to the phone, what's the hurry? The most shining person is of course the most worth waiting for. Hang up the phone, but reach out to push Xiaoling. Hey, wake up, your saliva is dripping. Xiaoling was startled by his push and woke up. She subconsciously went to wipe her saliva, but Lin Yunan caught her wrist quickly. Don't touch it, the lip gloss will stain. I didn't drool, I lied to you. Xia Xiaoling's classmate glared at him. Manager Lin didn't care and told her the current situation directly. According to the feedback from the bodyguards outside, Xiaoyu has already arrived not far from the venue, and the car is parked at the corner 50 meters away. Hours later. I guarantee that as soon as you walk down the aisle, she will show up for the finale. Xia Xiaoling gritted her teeth, then just wear it out and see who can wear it out more than the other. Sister, this is a live broadcast. Lin Yunan looked at her with disgust. You are an important guest who will be introduced to the stage at the beginning. You will have to change clothes and put on makeup later. What about her? She was at least half an hour later than you. On stage, I have enough time to spend with you on the sidelines, can you count? Xia Xiaoling was stunned. Then, what should we do? Lin Yunan scolded her, stupid. Xiaoling opened the car window and looked out. A huge crowd of reporters gathered on both sides of the cordon. The gorgeous red carpet was waiting for her. If it weren't for you, those reporters wouldn't have the patience, Lin Yunan said. Not everyone is qualified to play a big role. Suddenly an idea flashed in Xiaoling's mind and she reacted, yes, I'm going to walk on the red carpet now. Walk as fast as possible. The stalls here will be closed before Xiaoyu has time to arrive at the scene. Ha! Ha ha, let her be late. After the red carpet is over, even if she comes, she won't be able to make the finale. Lin Yunan said, at last you are not too stupid. Just now when she fell asleep, he was not idle. He non-stop investigated Xiaoyu's specific location and laid out a series of instructions. He only woke her up after everything was arranged. Agent Lin smiled evilly and taught Xiaoling some tips. The group of reporters waiting anxiously on both sides of the red carpet finally discovered that the white extended limousine arrived belatedly and stopped in front of everyone. As if they had received an invisible order, the reporters who had been listless just now suddenly became energetic. The sound of shutters and flashes flashed one after another, just like the sound of dense gunfire on the battlefield. The doorman opened the door respectfully. A foot wearing extremely stiletto heels stretched out and stepped on the soft red carpet. Screams were everywhere, and just like the reporters, there were countless fans looking forward to their idol. Xiaoling! 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 The deafening shouts of fans were accompanied by banners and cheering sticks held high. Xiaoling's body was slowly revealed at this moment, and she walked into the red carpet gracefully and calmly. She was wearing the latest haute couture dress of the season. The thin gauze stretched out into a graceful shape and was dotted with diamonds. It was full of brilliance and complemented the beauty. She walked forward gracefully, even though she was wearing such thin high-heeled shoes, but she walked quickly and steadily. She tilted her head slightly and said in the direction of the reporters, "Sorry for keeping everyone waiting. Let's finish the red carpet quickly and enter, come on." As he spoke, he posed for several photos while walking. His feet almost didn't touch the ground, and his movements were smooth, as pleasing to the eye as if they were dancing. But the reporters were crying. "Miss Aya, other actresses are eager to stay on the red carpet as long as possible. Why do you think it's let's finish it quickly when it comes to you? Yes, we don't like those actresses who hang out on the red carpet and refuse to leave, but we love taking pictures of you. Can't you just walk slower? Miss Aya, please slow down, don't be in a hurry for the finale," a reporter couldn't help shouting. Hearing this, Xiaoling smiled brightly at the reporter, making the young male reporter blush. However, her feet did not stop, and she walked the entire distance in a posture that was so gorgeous that it was almost like dancing. The reporters, who had no time to find an angle and had to click the shutter again and again thoughtlessly, found that the photos they took were all super beautiful. "Okay, let's call it a day, everyone has worked hard." Xiaoling walked to the end of the red carpet and thanked the reporters with a smile. "She is a queen, born with a noble aura," she said, "call it a day," without realizing it, with a commanding tone, and the reporters subconsciously started to collect things. They have been lingering on the red carpet for a long time, and they have to rush to the venue to capture the news. The crowd began to disperse. Don't go." Suddenly, a middle-aged man rushed up. However, he was calmly held back by two bodyguards in the crowd. "Who are you? What are you doing?" the man panicked. "Mr. Li, right?" Lin Yunan appeared in front of the man at some unknown time and said with a smile, "Nice to meet you. It's hard to be Miss Xiaoyu's agent, right? It's a pity that Miss Xiaoyu is having a bad time. If I accompany you today, if she comes from Chu Chen, maybe she won't be so unlucky." That middle-aged man is the assistant manager arranged by Chu Chen for Xiaoyu's return to the emperor. Although Xiaoyu's first agent is still Chu Chen is in charge of the entire agency department and has to serve Pei Zion. He can't do such things as a daily follower at all. Nowadays, it is Agent Li who accompanies Xiaoyu at the event. Agent Li stared at him in horror. "You are Lin Yunan?" "Yes, Yingling's agent." Lin Yunan snapped his fingers. "The answer is correct, but there is no reward." He grinned at Manager Li. "Don't think that I don't know what your idea is. After waiting outside for so long, don't you just want to have the finale? What a good plan. All the big stars came in first because of our Xiaoling's face. After you borrowed the knife to kill the person, you secretly followed Xiaoling to get a ready-made bargain. Ha ha ha, that's what I thought. Beautiful. Good morning, are you surprised?" This is a makeup update, and why do I use only, owe you 10 more updates? End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 848. Chapter 848 Starting price, 100,000. He casually put his arm around Manager Lee's shoulder and dragged him forward with 2 bodyguards leading the way. Agent Lee refused to leave. He hadn't told the reporters to leave yet. Xiaoyu was coming soon. Unfortunately, Lin Yunan had seen a fight in a bar before, and his hands were so strong that he couldn't break free. To outsiders, the two of them seemed particularly close and friendly, with their arms around each other. Agent Lee was dragged away in despair. As for the news that Xiaoyu is coming soon? Sorry, not a single reporter heard. Xiaoyu was not photographed this time. A reporter felt a little regretful. He put away his camera and said to his colleagues, Xiaoyu walked on the red carpet for the first time after her comeback, which is also good news. Another reporter said, I heard that she was stuck in traffic. Who knows when she will come? She is not a diva like Miss Aya. No one will wait for her if she is too late. That is, if we follow Miss Aya, we can still wait. If the interval is too long, there is no need to wait. It is not cost-effective to wait for her alone. The two reporters passed by Lin Yunan and his group while chatting and laughing. Manager Lee opened his mouth to tell them that Xiaoyu was nearby and would be here soon, but Lin Yunan quickly covered his mouth and dragged him to a dark street corner. At the red carpet, the formation of reporters has completely dispersed. Lin Yunan then smiled and released the hand covering him, and patted his shoulder. Okay, you can go. Agent Lee was very angry. Mr. Lin, it is illegal for you to do this. Other people's personal freedom. Lin Yunan didn't care at all. Okay, you can sue me. Agent Lee became even more angry and pointed at him with a trembling finger, but could not say a word. Scoundrel, this Lin Yunan is a scoundrel. In such a glamorous entertainment industry, how could someone use such despicable means to deal with their peers, without even giving up their dignity? In his anger, Agent Lee forgot that he was the first to play tricks. What would have happened if he hadn't deliberately followed Xiaoling to grab the finale? Diddy. The phone rings. Manager Lee didn't care to vent his anger with Lin Yunan and quickly answered the phone. Hello, Miss Xiaoyu? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Please don't move yet. Just wait where you are. I'll come and find you right away. Finally, he glared at Lin Yunan angrily and hurriedly went to find Xiaoyu. At this time, Xiaoyu was in an awkward situation. Her limousine was parked not far from Xiaoling. As soon as she saw Xiaoling appear on the red carpet, she followed her as planned. Her time calculation is very accurate. Normally, it takes 5-10 minutes for an actress to walk through the red carpet of the Nebula Gala. She only needs to appear at the starting point of the red carpet 10 minutes later. This is what a reporter still wants. It hasn't dispersed yet, and it won't take too long. She has already imagined her perfect finale, shining with stars. With ring speed, with lightning speed, she told the reporters that it was time to call it a day. Those idiot reporters actually started to call it a day. Xiaoyu panicked, lifted up her skirt and hurriedly walked towards the red carpet. However, before taking a few steps, she was suddenly bumped into by a little girl who appeared out of nowhere. The little girl looked up and saw that it was Xiaoyu. Apologized hurriedly, claimed to be her fan, and excitedly asked for autographs and photos. By the time she got rid of the entanglement of this fan and hurried to the red carpet, the police cordon had been removed. The reporters who were originally neatly lined up on both sides of the team have become a group. Many reporters with admission passes have entered the Nebula Festival to grab news. The remaining reporters without admission passes also randomly interviewed fans outside the venue, or chat with colleagues in 2s and 3s. Seeing Xiaoyu, many people cast surprised glances. Ms. Xia, please take a photo. A sharp-eyed reporter greeted her. She shook her head, trying to suppress her anger. Now, her agent is not around. Didn't Xiao Li just come to say hello to the reporters? What about others? Her assistant wasn't around either. She was rushing over so quickly that she unknowingly left her behind. She was alone, holding up her skirt, looking helpless and embarrassed. But there is still a cluttered crowd behind you, a noisy background, and you can't even unfold the shape of a fishtail skirt. Can you see the red carpet photos taken like this? She was ashamed and angry inside, but on the outside she still tried her best to maintain an elegant demeanor. However, not all reporters would ask for her opinion. With 2 clicks, before she was ready, a reporter had already photographed her in embarrassment while standing in the crowd. She was startled and instinctively wanted to step forward to settle the score with the reporter, but she stopped. Settling accounts has always been done by agents and assistants. When have you ever seen a celebrity quarreling with the media? That's too disgraceful. Xia Yu was very angry. Why didn't her agent and assistant come? On the other hand, I could only watch the reporter walk away. Miss Xia Yu, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I was just raped by Lin Yunan on the road. Stop talking nonsense, go chase that reporter over there. Xia Yu didn't have time to listen to the explanation of Agent Li, who hurried over and pointed him in the direction of the reporter. He took a photo of me, go find him quickly. He deleted it. Agent Li left in a hurry. Reporter Wu. Reporter Wu. Agent Li was sweating all over his forehead. Panting, he grabbed the reporter who was taking the photo and said, "Did you just take a photo of Miss Xia Yu? How much does it cost for you?" "Price, I bought it, the emperor has nothing but a lot of money." Like Chu Chen, Agent Li is also very good at using money to kill people. The reporter Wu winked at his companion, who understood and left. Reporter Wu had a smile on his face and said in a long tone to Agent Li, "It turns out to be Xiao Li. I still want to sell it for this little bit of face. Don't worry. You can tell me the price first and I'll do it if I think it's suitable sold to you. This price is, to put it bluntly, hush money." Agent Li gasped and held out 5 fingers. 50,000, Reporter Wu asked. Agent Li smiled dryly, "Angkor, 5,000. 5,000, Reporter Wu's expression suddenly changed. "What about sending beggars?" "Xiao Li, don't blame me for not reminding you. Back then, when Chu Chen accompanied Xiaoling around the world, he had to call me brother. At that time, a photo of 50,000, they are not for sale, starting price is 100,000, do you understand?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 849. Chapter 849. The stars in the corridor overlap the moon. Agent Li smiled bitterly in his heart. How could Xia Yu compare with Xiaoling back then? Back then, Xiaoling was the beloved treasure of the emperor's big boss, Pei Xian. Who didn't know that in the industry? The public relations fees spent on Xiaoling were uncapped and fell on the financial reports. Boss Pei didn't have a word of opinion. But, what about Xia Yu? Nowadays, Xia Yu no longer has any privileges. She follows the same budget account as other artists in the company. If the public relations expenses exceed too much, she will be held accountable. With a smile on his face, he said to Reporter Wu, "Brother Angkor, Brother Ang, please show your support and help me. How can Xia Yu now compare with Miss Xiaoling back then? Just let her go today, and she will become famous tomorrow. Yes, thank you very much. How about 10,000? No, 20,000. With Xiaoling's 100,000 yuan in front of him, He himself felt that the offer was shabby, but he really couldn't afford to pay more. Reporter Wu pretended to be thoughtful. 20,000, it's still too much. Brother Angkor, just give me some face. Okay, Agent Lee was trying hard to convince me. Not far away, behind Agent Lee, the colleague of Reporter Wu who had just left them appeared again at some point and gave an okay gesture to Reporter Wu. Then, a smile appeared on Reporter Wu's face. Since you are so sincere, Xiao Li, forget it, I will just be a good person and sell you the photos. I will call the agency right now and ask them to delete the photos and not publish them. Thank you, Agent Lee thanked him profusely. Reporter Wu actually called him in front of him. Lily, go to the email address of our entertainment department, find the email I just sent, and delete it for me. What? You mean that picture, the photo has been published? How come it's so fast? Okay, I understand. He hung up the phone and spread his hands towards Agent Lee. Xiao Li, what a coincidence. I didn't know that the agency acted so quickly and posted this photo to the news page. This photo, I'm really sorry that I can't sell it to you. As if struck by a thunderbolt, Agent Lee blurted out, how is that possible? Reporter Wu said irresponsibly, there is no way. Maybe the competition has become too fierce recently. The editors who work overtime in the agency are becoming more and more dedicated. It's a pity that I can't help you, as he said. He patted Agent Lee on the shoulder and walked away. Joke, how could he sell the photos to Agent Lee? Journalist Wu has been running entertainment news for many years, and he no longer cares about the tens of thousands of hush money. His top priority is to attack the chief reporter of the agency and strive to improve his status to a higher level. Every valuable news is of great significance to him, far beyond what can be measured by tens of thousands of dollars. He is not that stupid. Just now, as soon as he heard Agent Lee's request, he winked directly at his partner, who immediately sent out the news. The raw rice has already been cooked, and there is nothing anyone can do about it. Reporter Wu hummed a little tune and was in a happy mood. Agent Lee looked ashen, and with trembling hands, he clicked on the news interface. Sure enough, he saw a real-time report about the nebula ceremony on the internet, including a photo of Xiao Yu, wearing a long dress, standing at a loss in a crowded crowd. Inside, the reporters and staff around her were talking to themselves, and no one paid any attention to her. Next to it, there is also a striking title. Xiao Yu was late for an excuse to get the red carpet finale, but the finale was nothing. The article describes Xiao Yu's embarrassment in detail, and even compares it with Xiaoling's dazzling scenery in the finale. Under the news page, many fans left messages to ridicule, saying that Xiao Yu was a scheming bitch, shameless, and tried to steal the finale of goddess Xiaoling, but in the end, she became a joke. The masses love to watch and enjoy misfortunes. In just a few minutes, several pages of replies were filled with ridicule. It's over, everything is over, Agent Lee looked dejected. You can already imagine how angry Xiao Yu was when she saw this report. He didn't dare to go back to Xiao Yu immediately, gritted his teeth, called her assistant, and told the assistant to take good care of her, while he hid in a secluded place and smoked a cigarette to calm down. Interior of Nebula Festival TV station. Xiaoling arrived late. With the help of a group of staff, she took off the red carpet gown as quickly as possible and put on another bright and sparkling dress. She had her hair styled again, accessories added, and her makeup touched up. Walking towards the live broadcast stage on her sparkling crystal stilettos. In the corridor, I bumped into Xiao Yu, who had just come in. Meet each other on a narrow road, and the road is narrow for enemies. Xiao Yu was in a state of embarrassment. Without the protection of her manager, her originally gorgeous and delicate long dress had been messed up in the crowd. It was wrinkled in several places and looked dirty. On the other hand, Xiaoling's whole body had been carefully taken care of, and she was surrounded by people like a star over the moon, and the scenery was endless. A faint resentment flashed in Xia Yu's eyes, but it was quickly covered up. Lin Yunan opened the way in front and said to Xia Yu unceremoniously, "Excuse me, we're in a hurry." Unable to tolerate Xia Yu's refusal to give way, Lin Yunan had already pushed her aside in a rogue manner, and other staff members were also in a hurry. Dang Di followed, carefully serving Xiaoling as he walked. "Miss Ling, please slow down, I'll help you hold the silk. Miss Aya, be careful where you step, the heel of this glass slipper is a bit thin. Miss Aya, don't move. This hair accessory is very fragile. You have to walk slowly." Hands of talk were all concerned about Xiaoling, as if she were protecting a rare treasure. In fact, this was natural. Several of their makeup artists and stylists had devoted their efforts to Xiaoling, and she was an important opening guest. There was no room for error, they were all counting on her to make a living. Amidst the intense concentration, no one even glanced at Xia Yu, who was pushed aside. Xiaoling, on the other hand, suddenly stopped when passing by Xia Yu. She glanced at Xia Yu and half smiled, "I'm quite late, I didn't even make it to the finale, huh?" Xia Yu heard the sarcasm in her voice, bit her lip slightly, lowered her head and remained silent. She knows Xiaoling very well in her heart, but she resists showing it on the surface. Now that she is Xiaoling's people, she will be caught even if she has the slightest disrespect to Xiaoling. She has just made a comeback, and she still has to find a way to return to the Xia family. A little impatience will ruin the big plan. Xiaoling and her group did not stay any longer and walked away towards the live broadcast stage. The live broadcast stage was filled with light. According to the tradition of the Nebula Festival, the winner of the Best Male Singer and Best Female Singer of the previous year will be the opening guest every year, giving speeches and singing choruses. The opening guests this time are Xiaoling and Emperors Zheng Qinhao. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 850. Chapter 850 Opening Duet. Xiaoling has always been at odds with Zheng Qinhao, and tonight she went into taunting mode. When the host asked, "How does Ms. Ling feel about sharing the stage with Mr. Zheng again?" she said unceremoniously, "It's a pity. It's a pity that Bai Murong caught a cold at last year's Nebula ceremony. Otherwise, I don't want to stand here today. He should be the one sharing the stage with me." Zheng Qinhao's face turned dark on the spot. To be fair, he and Bai Murong are about as popular as each other. It is really suspenseful who will win the Best Male Singer every year. Last year, Bai Murong had a cold and didn't perform well on the spot. Zheng Qinhao narrowly won the title of Best Male Singer with a slim vote. This matter has been criticized by public opinion for a year, and many people said that if it were not for Bai Murong's illness, the outcome would not be known. Now Xiaoling's words are just poking holes in Zheng Qinhao's heart. The host was very happy. This kind of program always has to have explosive points. If the guests were in harmony, it would make people worry that the topic would not be enough. She smiled and asked Xiaoling, "Miss Ling means that you are more optimistic about Bai Murong than Mr. Zheng Qinhao, right?" "I have worked with both Zheng Qinhao and Bai Murong," Xiaoling replied with a faint smile. "Murong's style of music is varied and he has continued to make self-breakthroughs over the years. In comparison, Mr. Zheng Qinhao, you seem to have been around for 10 years just like today, nothing has changed from the range of songs to the style. If you each sing one of your best songs, your level may be about the same. If you sing 10 or 20 songs, Bai Murong will definitely win." Zheng Qinhao looked gloomy and wanted to tear this shameless woman into pieces. She just hit the sore point in his heart. In the past few years, Zheng Qinhao has become increasingly frustrated that time is not forgiving and he is unable to do what he wants. Sometimes when he dreams at midnight, he worries that the waves behind him in the Yangtze River will overtake the waves in front of him, and he will die on the beach at some point. And what about Bai Murong? he is younger than him and has a variety of music styles, so he obviously has unlimited potential in the future. Feeling hesitant, he also sarcastically said, "Miss Ling, don't talk about this. In fact, it's just because Bai Murong comes from Tianyi. Who doesn't know that Tianyi's boss Li is the father of your child? This hasn't happened yet. When it comes to marriage, you are just a model for women in the new century." As soon as he said this, his fans clapped their hands and applauded. However, more people feel subtle discomfort in their hearts. Xiaoling was right to say that he was not as good as Bai Murong, but he did not refute it with the music itself. Instead, he talked about the private life of other women and ridiculed them for having children out of wedlock. Anyway, as a man, Zheng Qinhao's behavior was too much. Out of stock. Some Xiaoling fans are already clamoring in the audience, "Zheng Qinhao, you have no quality." Zheng Qinhao's fans were not to be outdone. Ye Xingling has qualities. She married Pei Xian but gave birth to Li Lei's child. After the divorce, she still hasn't married Li Lei. It ruins the atmosphere. Fans always wanted to reveal the truth when they quarreled, and Xiaoling's fans quarreled back even more fiercely, so what? Our Xiaoling has such a cute Why? Where is Zheng Qinhao? His girlfriend said she was unwilling to give him anything when they broke up. Have a baby. Zheng Qinhao's fans were stung. Ye Xingling is so flirtatious. If she supports Bai Murong so much, she might have an affair with Bai Murong. Bah, you two bitches, shameless. At this time, even Bai Murong's fans joined the fight. What are you talking about? Keep your mouth clean. We Murong sing better than Zheng Qinhao, you are jealous. Yes, we are jealous. A group of people were making a lot of noise. Xiaoling looked at the audience and raised the corners of her lips slightly. In fact, in normal times, although she hated Zheng Qinhao, she might not talk nonsense with him during live broadcasts. This time, the reason why she compared Zheng Qinhao with Bai Murong was to brush up the favorability of Bai Murong's fans, which would help her praise Luo Luo later. No, Bai Murong's fans have united with her fans. Xiaoling was very happy and answered Zheng Qinhao slowly, "What's wrong with me because I'm a Tianyi person? Li Lei is my man and Bai Murong is my good friend. If I don't care for them, why should I care for you?" Zheng Qinhao did not expect that she would speak so confidently, and was speechless for a moment. "You? What am I?" Xiaoling, a classmate, laughed. "Zheng Tianwang, calm down and finish singing this opening song with me. This is a rare opportunity. I will sing with Murong at the opening next year." The implication is that Zheng Qinhao will not win the Best Male Singer award this year. Zheng Qinhao was so angry that he suppressed his anger and said, "I will definitely continue to stand on the stage next year, but you should worry more about yourself. Don't let others take away the title of Best Female Singer. Who can grab it?" Xiaoling still smiled. "Last year, the score difference between me and the second place was nearly double, but Mr. Zheng Qinhao, you are only a little behind Bai Murong, right?" The knife repaired it, but Zheng Qinhao was about to vomit blood again. He now believes that Ye Xingling may really be the reincarnation of Xiaoling. She is so angry that she wants to be beaten without paying for her life, which is exactly the same as the original Xiaoling. Xiaoling is not a good person, and neither is she. It's true that the host likes to see celebrities having sex, but if it goes too far and gets serious, the scene may not be good. Seeing that the heat is almost over, the host quickly smooths things over and signals that the opening song can be sung. The prelude of the opening song slowly sounded. Even though he had thousands of reluctances in his heart, Zheng Qinhao had to follow the convention of the Nebula Festival and sing a song with Xiaoling. This year, the song they chose was a couple's duet, but how could Zheng Qinhao be in the mood to sing a couple's song with Xiaoling? He forced himself into the state, but was unable to pour out his emotions. Xiaoling doesn't care. Whenever music is involved, she is in excellent condition and is rarely affected by the outside world. In the past, she had sung duet with Bai Murong. At that time, she could suppress herself and cooperate with Bai Murong, so that the two of them looked evenly matched and the singing was harmonious and pleasant. But this time it's different, this time. She doesn't like Zheng Qinhao. Xiaoling did not suppress herself and unleashed her best, regardless of whether Zheng Qinhao could keep up with her. King Qin's singing echoed on the stage, as if there was no one around, and it was stunning. It overshadowed Zheng Qinhao's singing in just a moment. If placed elsewhere, Zheng Qinhao's singing would be considered outstanding, but it pales in comparison with Xiaoling, which makes people impatient to listen to. Except for Zheng Qinhao's fans, everyone in the audience and in front of the TV watching the live broadcast was immersed in Xiaoling's singing. Once Xiaoling's singing stopped and gave way to Zheng Qinhao's clip, they felt very irritated. I wish I could rush over to Zheng Qinhao's clip and let Xiaoling sing again. No more today, good night. End of this chapter.